Hello friends, today we're going to be talking about whether short-term rentals or long-term rentals are more profitable. Are you someone that wants to get started in real estate and you'd love to capitalize on passive income through real estate with rentals, whether it's short-term or long-term, but you've heard conflicting stories about which one is better? Well, today you're in luck. I'm going to be breaking down short-term rentals versus long-term rentals and help you understand which is best for you. I then want to help you understand what real world strategies I've seen that I've done in my real estate investing career to help you factor in your decision on which one is better for you. Finally, I want to help you understand what profitability looks like so you can make a conclusion which is best for you. If you're ready, let's go. All right, so what is a long-term rental? Well, it is just that, right? It's something that's rented out for a longer period of time. And typically, when I say a long period of time, we're talking a year or longer. So a common one here is apartments or homes, right? Both of these can be long-term rentals. Multi-units, fourplexes, condos, townhomes, houses, all have the ability to be long-term rentals. So what's the upside of a long-term rental? Well, with long-term rentals, typically you have one tenant for a long period of time. The time you spend worrying about that tenant goes down significantly because you've got one tenant in one unit for a period of time. Now, obviously, if you own an apartment complex or apartment building or multi-units, you're gonna have a lot of units, but typically one person in that unit for a longer period of time. So the time you spend worrying about that into that versus a short-term rental, which I'll talk about in a minute, significantly goes down. So what's the downside of long-term rentals? Well, for one, you're usually going to get a little bit less money, right, compared to a short-term rental. And I'll explain that. It could be more expensive, meaning that it's a larger loan, right? Or you have to put more money on it. If it's an investment property, it could be a more expensive down payment to secure that property, whether it's an apartment building or a multi-unit. You're going to come in with more money, and chances are the purchase price is going to be a lot greater. One of my first investments into real estate, I say first investments, it was probably about 6 or 7 investments down the road, was I was able to purchase an apartment complex with some good friends of mine. And it ended up being a real awesome learning experience. Now, I had never experienced multi-units before, and I realized that there became a lot of challenges with multi-units. It was 46 units, but there was a lot of challenges with it. There was upkeep, there's things that needed to be fixed. I wasn't quite ready for that experience, but I did learn a lot from it. I ended up selling it and sold it for a decent amount more than what I bought it for, but I could see if somebody did it the right way, they had a management company manage it for them, the ability to bring in passive income through an apartment complex is a great thing. Now let's talk about short-term rentals. Now, what is this? Once again, it's exactly what it sounds like, right? It's people staying somewhere for a short period of time, usually between 2 days to 7 days, 8 days. Short-term rentals are typically in popular cities, popular destinations, or they're very unique home sites. Or vacation rentals also fall under short-term rentals. These are in destination areas where people like to vacation and go, and they want a place to stay that gives them an experience of that area. One of the cool things about short-term rentals or vacation rentals is that you can also utilize these. Whereas with a long-term rental, it's not like you're gonna go stay in the apartment building that you're renting out for a night. But if you have a vacation rental, you and your family can go stay there. You can utilize it for your own good as well. This summer, my family and I went on a road trip across the southeastern part of the United States. And we have a short-term rental in Blue Ridge, Georgia, a short-term rental in Orlando, Florida. We're able to go and visit those areas and enjoy those properties. And it was an awesome experience to be with a family and experience those. So what is the upside of short-term rentals? Well, here's a couple. Number one, it's one door. The home that we own close to Yellowstone, it is one door. Now we have people that go in there multiple times in a month, and there's cleaning, there's turnover, there's a little bit more wear and tear, which now I'm starting to talk about the downside is there potentially is more wear and tear on everything inside that home because you have many people going there and utilizing it over and over throughout the course of a month. Another upside is you can utilize it yourself, just as I talked about with my family vacation this summer. And sometimes it can be less money up front. The home that I bought in Blue Ridge, Georgia, I bought as a second home. So I only had to come into that property with 5% down. And I got a really good interest rate because it was a second home. So let's break it down. Which one could potentially be better for you, short-term rentals or long-term rentals? This is how I like to look at it. If it's a short-term rental, you have more time. A short-term rental, a lot of times, is going to require more time, especially if you're managing it yourself. You've got to constantly be on the sites like Airbnb, Vrbo, answer questions. You've got to communicate with the cleaners. You've got to communicate with any work that needs to be done on the property. You are managing that property. Now, there are options to have a management company that can certainly manage it for you, but you're going to pay for that. Especially in the vacation rental world, sometimes those rates are at 20, 25, up to 35 or 40%. With long-term rentals, chances are, if it's a multi-unit or a home, you're going to have to come in with a little bit more money. So if you have more money, that might be a great option for you. And it's going to require less time because, once again, it's one tenant you're dealing with or multiple tenants, but they're in one unit for a longer period of time. So now let's talk about profitability and how this factors into both of those decisions, whether it's a long-term rental or whether it's a short-term rental. So with a long-term rental, obviously you have your rent. If we were to take a home, let's say with that home, you're able to rent it out for $2,500 a month. Let's say your mortgage is $1,600. That includes taxes, insurance. Now you're going to have some expenses, right? Typically, if somebody is renting a home from you, they expect to pay all the utility bills, power, garbage, gas, water. They're paying those bills for you. So the additional expenses you might have might just be a few additional things, but ultimately it's pretty easy to factor when it comes to a long-term rental. And ultimately, if you have a management company that oversees that for you, you're going to pay some sort of percentage of total rents to that management company for the work that they're doing. Now with a short-term rental, the formula for calculating profitability is pretty much the same, but there's a few more costs involved. There's a few more line items. Now typically, you've got your total rents for the month, right? Or for the stay. So all the different stays each month will make up the total rents for the month. You have the payment to the cleaners. You also have all the utilities that you have to pay for, right? With a short-term rental, the people that are staying there aren't paying any of the utilities. You are paying all those. And you still have the mortgage payment, taxes, insurance, all that is factored into it. You also have the fees that you're paying to the platform sites like Airbnb or Vrbo. And if you have a management company that's overseeing it, you're paying a management fee on top of that as well. Now with both of these strategies, you've got to understand profitability is affected by your mortgage payment more than anything, right? And mortgage payments right now, with interest rates as high as they are, is something that you've really got to consider when purchasing either a long-term rental or a short-term rental. Now, one of the interesting things is interest rates being as high as they are right now has really slowed the demand for short-term rentals. When I first got started into short-term rentals about 3 or 4 years ago, interest rates were so low, it really started to heat up where there's a lot of people that were purchasing short-term rentals because the mortgage rate was low enough that they could really make these work with short-term rentals as a viable, profitable business. Now with interest rates as high as they are, it will be a little bit more challenging. So ultimately, which one is more profitable? In my mind, I've experienced both. I've experienced long-term rentals through homes that I've rented out, through apartment buildings, and I've experienced short-term rentals. I really like short-term rentals, and the reason is I can utilize those with me and my family. Let me give you a real-world example. I've talked about the apartment complex that I bought many, many years ago, and it was a great investment. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I've made it. The total rents coming in every month was about $22,000, $23,000. And at that time was great. Now there was a mortgage payment and other expenses associated with that, but $23,000 a month coming in from an investment property was a pretty dang good thing. But it was 46 doors, 46 tenants. One of my vacation rentals close to Yellowstone National Park, its best month ever was July of 2023, and it brought in $39,000 for one door, one unit. It's a big cabin, and people pay quite a bit of money to stay there. One piece of real estate could bring in that much money in 1 month. Now, obviously, there was expenses associated with that, but the profitability from that cabin alone was something that was really exciting for me. So when I compare long-term and short-term rentals, I really like short-term rentals because of the flexibility of it and the ability to bring in more money than potentially a long-term rental. Now, everybody's situation is different. You might have a different opinion, and I would love to hear it. So feel free to leave a comment below. We can engage in a dialogue. And as always, I have a free gift for you. It's aaronsfreetraining.com. Click on the link below and you will receive a free short-term rental calculator. You enter the data, the information, it spits out to you whether it's a good deal or not. So I hope to hear your feedback, hope to engage in a dialogue with you. Have an awesome day.